over the last 40 months, namely rising prices, which meant that your wages couldn't afford what they used to be able to afford. It hurt the working class. 1.5, 2 years of inflation, just like rising interest rates are hurting the working class now. Why the continuation of inflation between 3 and 4%, the official announcement, hurts. Wow.
Trina,
Yes. Hello. I'm
I
still,
think
yeah.
we must be connected in some way that's in the wrong way, because you and I are the only two on.
But it's not, we have 10 minutes yet.
Oh, you think it's just because we're that early?
Well, I'm still trying to get this message to someone else right now. So I need a caller so that she can maybe get on. So
Oh,
that's why I'm
okay.
early. Just that's
Well,
not.
I'll stay on then.
I don't know where to go except here.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'll stay on.
and if you find that we made a mistake, please email or phone me.
Okay.
I'm going to try to tell someone else right now.
The new leadership, and it is new, was voted in March of this year. They had barely a matter of weeks to mobilize and strengthen a largely depressed, disoriented, defeated on many levels UAW from before, defeated by the inflation, by the crisis of 2020, by the crisis of 2008, and so forth. And this leadership that was able to mobilize a strike like this, a disciplined, careful, and ultimately very victorious, led by a new president, Sean Fain. And he doesn't talk like other presidents. He talks a very militant. He kept referring to the labor unions, interspersing his sentences with the labor movement. Yeah, it's a social movement. He wants it to be. He wants it to be a movement about and in society as a whole.
Hi there, Marisol. I finally think I have found the link for tonight's 7 o'clock anti-racism group presentation. So I maybe have gotten on, maybe not, but the link that I have is there. I hope it's correct for myself and for you. Okay, bye-bye. Peace.
Will end on April 30th, 2028. And he explained why the union insisted on that expiration date. Because the day after that union contract expires is May Day, he explained in his statement. International Day of for the working class around the world. He wanted to identify his union, their victory, and the importance of what they've achieved as part of a resurging labor movement. And to make it clear that he meant that, he invited, he urged, he asked brother and sister unions around the country to also do what they've done, make their contracts expire on April 30th of the year 2028. And he said he wanted everyone to know why. Because then he said we will have more power because it will be many workers across many businesses in many industries that will act together, and then we can change what? No, he didn't hesitate. He said we have to deal with all the problems of the working class, not just of our members. Wow. Time will tell us how genuine these statements are, how powerful the new direction of labor is. But these are extraordinary gains, and they need to be celebrated as a sign of what militant labor leaders can achieve. The unity, the power, They got from these auto companies what those auto companies said they could not and would never give. They gave. The bluff was called
Trina, oh, there's Rachel.
and then. And all of us who are partisans of the class have every right to celebrate.
Rachel, Trina, and I thought we were on the wrong link somehow.
I'm just going to give you a flavor. In Germany and in other parts.
I didn't hear what you said.
We're okay. Rachel is on now with us, but she isn't hearing me.
Okay,
And now there's Mary Heidkamp. So we must be okay, Trina.
we must be okay. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Hey, hello.
Hi, Scooter.
Hey, how are you?
I think Trina and I are both trying to eat supper in the dark.
Yeah, well, I was trying to eat supper and now I just stuck it back in the fridge because I don't like to eat when I'm in a Zoom.
Well, I don't like to eat. Yeah. My
Hey,
pictures
Mary.
Hey,
Hi,
Rachel, how are you?
Rachel.
Good.
Hi.
How are you? Oh, sorry, my volume was down. That's why I couldn't hear anyone.
Well, thank you for getting on. Rachel, did you see my note? I was worried because Trina and I were the only ones on.
Yeah, I
So
think we were just a little bit early.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, I don't know if there was an issue with the link. One of our participants, Aliya, I think had an issue accessing it. So I don't know if there's two links floating around somehow.
I had no
Yes.
problem getting on.
Okay.
I had no problem getting on either.
Yeah, but we're the ones that are on versus the ones.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna test and make sure the link on the flyer is the same one here. So
Yeah. Speaking to the choir, preaching to the choir. Yeah.
I got, I used the one that Yeva sent out, which we canceled today's Laudato Si in favor of this one.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. We're sorry that it conflicted, but thank you.
Well, we just thought it was more important to do it. It's not that it was at the same time, but it's a bit much.
Aha, I get it.
So
Oh, the gang is
Oh,
is
T.
starting to be
Rose.
all here.
T. Rose.
Hi there.
Hi.
And Marion in the dark. I don't want to eat while I'm on camera.
I don't blame you.
I
And
appreciate,
I just
appreciate
got
that.
food. Sorry.
okay, that was the same link. So I think it should be working.
well, we have 2 more minutes officially.
We're early. Yeah, and we should wait at least 5 minutes afterwards for people to be coming in. So thank you all for being early, but we'll wait a little bit.
Yes.
Someone should have pre-meeting discussion points. Like they're sending out cards now to discuss around the Thanksgiving table, other than politics.
Well,
I think
I
discussing
did-
politics at Thanksgiving's a good idea.
Yeah, me too.
I've also seen cards for how to raise certain issues at your Thanksgiving dinner table.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I'd like those, Carol. There's Joyce eating too.
Hello, everybody.
hello.
I'm thinking that's Marion Schwab, not Marion Ronan, right?
Right.
Right.
And-
Hi.
Rachel? Is Rachel there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think my volume was off again.
Quick question. What is the name of the group that Fran helps to lead, the girl group?
It's Black Girl Rising
Black Girl Rising.
in
Thank you.
Columbus. Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations, Rachel.
Thank you, Sally.
Yay!
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Exciting couple of years ahead of me.
Yeah.
Exciting
Hopefully-
for the Grail and in general, yes.
Yes.
Hopefully
We
I
have
can
a lot of
draw-
former council people saying this to you.
Yes.
I can draw on some of my training this summer and apply it to
I'm sure.
Excellent.
Good.
Use the Grail for the Grail.
exactly.
And
Oh,
you know,
glad to
Rachel,
see-
I'm just around the corner. If you ever want to meet for coffee, I've got your back.
I know. I was just thinking that, Terry. It was like, it's been too long.
It
We
has
need to
been
do
too
that.
long.
And
I
Terry,
think we all have kind of a before pandemic and after pandemic about when we've seen people for a cup of coffee, because it just,
Yeah.
you know, so it's only slowly getting back into our reality. Like, oh, I can
Yeah.
have a cup of coffee with somebody.
Yeah, I could see someone.
and Terry, I somehow don't know exactly how to join that prayer group that you're helping lead.
Oh, the
But-
Spirituality Network?
Yes, I can't,
Oh, I'll add you. All I have to do, let me make a note of it right now. All I need to do is add your email to the network list. And I will, because we just published the first week of Advent.
And that was really well done.
and that
Oh,
was
thank
sent,
you. Thank you.
that was sent to me, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on Advent, and I'm a nervous cat here.
Oh,
Actually, and I'm giving a presentation on Advent and I'm using what you sent out.
Oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Trina, I will send you the last, you say you did get the last one?
Well, I got it because Carolyn Vidala sent it to me.
Okay, well, I'll put you on the list because
me
we're
on the
doing
list.
one every week. So we have a few more coming out.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still figuring out just how I present about Advent on the big picture of Advent, you know, the real big picture of it that we experienced at the Grail in 1949 when I came. That's my job.
Huh.
As the first of elder presentations.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit scary, folks. So just know that it's 4:00 on Sunday.
I'm really happy to see Sharon Jocelyn and Mary Kay here tonight. I hope you're both doing better.
Yeah, I see Mary Kay's on. She's there in the hospital in rehab. She's coming slowly along. Yeah. And I'm doing good. I'm at my sister's house right now.
Uh-huh.
Where is that, Sharon?
In Connecticut, North Branford.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah. Thank you. Me too.
We're waiting just a few more minutes for people to join us and we'll start shortly. It's also wonderful to spend this time catching up, so keep going.
well, I can report that I got Martha and April on the plane to East Africa on Sunday.
Thank God.
I did not get a call afterwards to say they had missed the plane, so I was
Wait,
glad.
they missed the plane?
They did not. I was
Oh, good.
waiting. I was
Oh.
holding my breath because there wasn't, you know, we didn't have that much time to get the plane in Cincinnati.
But we've
Yeah.
seen a couple of messages from Mary and April that she's there. So I guess that means that everything's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. Has that area been affected by the flooding? Sounds like Tanzania is really in bad shape with flooding.
Yeah.
More Ethiopia, I think.
Recording in progress.
Well, Tanzania is really something they're highlighting, you know, in many ways.
Does anyone know who Char's iPad Pro is?
Yes,
that is
Sharon.
Is that Sharon Wood?
Yes,
No, she's-
That's Sharon Wood.
It is Sharon. Okay. Yeah, this
Oh,
is,
okay.
huh?
Oh, I thought she had another name up.
Did. She did. But
My computer isn't working, so I got on my iPad.
I think we can probably go ahead and get started.
Yes. I have to leave before 5.
Then I also have,
We'll honor people being on time. You want me to start us off, Rachel?
Yes.
Sure, yes, yes.
Okay,
go ahead.
welcome everyone. Thank you for this fantastic turnout for this conversation this evening. I think you know me, I'm Carol. I'm with the Antiracism Committee, as are others who are here this evening. And we are sponsoring this conversation, and you might wonder, like, how did we get from here to there to be sponsoring this conversation of younger women in the Grail who've been involved in some of the Grail Summer programs. And there's a little bit of history this past year. We are really exploring in the Antiracism Committee how anti-racist work is a issue of practice and relationship building, and not only about issues. So it's not only when something comes up that's an issue, but how are we forming relationships and honoring leadership of women, of all women and women of color in particular different settings. And so one of the things we did earlier this year was to invite young women who are engaged in environmental justice activism, young women of color, both through the Lower East Side Girls Club, through Judith Brownlee, and through Black Girls Rising project that Fran Fraser is in supporting in a leadership role, and invited them to meet with the Antiracism Committee and help us understand what are some of the issues on the agenda for at least this particular group of young women who are actively engaged in issues around environmental justice. And I think that it was us also stretching our muscles in terms of relationship building, listening, and finding out what are the issues for folks that we've not necessarily been in enough dialogue with prior to that. And one of the things that emerged from that, some of you joined us a month or two ago for—
You get on?
Are you there? For a whole session on environmental justice. And Trina, could you put yourself on mute?
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay, thanks.
He's a person who's interested in the Grail who wanted to get on.
Okay, just if you could
I'm trying to find mute.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay.
So those conversations led to the participation of some of those women in a session that we did together with the Climate Action Team on how climate justice intersects with racial justice. And so this is part of a journey we feel like that we're on in deepening our listening and relationship building with young women in multiple areas. I hope that it can lead to ongoing multi-generational work in the Grail with those who are not only Grail members, but those who are interested in the Grail and active in their lives in different ways. Some of those women participated in some of the international Grail Summer programs this year. And so we decided it would be a great opportunity to hear from them what kind of insights they're gaining from those experiences in the International Grail. So that's a little of the background. And I want to pass it on to them. And I want to introduce Veronica Guajan and Rachel Hershberger, who participated in the Communities with a Heart program at Radboud University in the Netherlands last summer, and Aliya Horton and Naburah Kaloko, who were part of the Young Women's Leadership Program that took place in Portugal. And they'll be sharing with us, and then there will be time for questions and conversation with them at the end of our time together. So we welcome them. We thank them for being part of those programs and leading us this evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Carol. And really happy to be here and sharing with all of you. I think, you know, speaking for myself, and I would imagine the other young women here, as these experiences are so enriching and transformative. And I think it's really important to be able to take what we learn and share it with all of you, especially as, you know, an organization that has supported us in going and having these experiences. So everyone will be doing a brief presentation about their programs, learnings, just kind of sharing our experiences. And then there will be time, as Carol said, for questions. Veronica, I believe, is having some issues with accessing the link tonight. And so she may or may not be joining us. So I think I will let Aliya and Naburah start. In case Veronica comes on a little bit later, then she can jump in and share about our program. So I don't know if one of you wants to volunteer to go ahead. But if you want to take it away.
If that's okay. So hello everyone. My name is Aliya Horton. I am 22 years old, and this summer I went to Portugal for the Young Leaders Women's Program. And I am from Black Girl Rising, and so I would like to tell you about my experience. So before we get started, I think there's 3 things that I want to hit on, and I want to say that was important to my experience. First is intersectionality, second is social action, and third is community. So to start, intersectionality is the interconnected nature of social categorizations such as race, class, gender, as they apply to a given individual or group regarded as creating overlapping and interdependent systems of discrimination or disadvantage. So this experience allowed me to compare and contrast experiences from all over the world. And when I say that as an example, like for an example, what does it mean to be Black? And how being Black means different things in different countries. And so when you are somebody who lives in South Africa, being Black is different from being someone who lives in America. And how are those things being intersected as being women who are people of color, women and people of color around the world? And then the important thing that I feel like we hit in Portugal, the important thing that I think we hit in Portugal is, why is it important to identify the intersectionality of women? We are more similar than we think. I learned that women worldwide have similarities and experience the same issues, which should enable us to work together. And with that, some of the issues that I did learn is that women all over the world have lower access to education, lower access to jobs, unfair treatment in the workforce industry, and higher rates of poverty. As we realize and identify that we are all similar, it allows us to collab and easier for us to work together to help accomplish the same goals. And it was something interesting because even like I said, like this, the difference of like race, but we look at, I said, us being all women in this space and in this group, how we all had similar experiences and stories that we could share, but we were from different parts of the world, and how being in a different geography is different. It has the same issues and we have the same topics. But within the intersectionality, I also realized and saw that we all had diversity, and diversity within the intersectionality. So diversity in the sense of when we were there learning the prices were different. So dollar to foreign currency, and understanding that the dollar in America was way different than a dollar in, not a dollar, but the currency in Mozambique, and how those things can affect and neglect people and women in different regions of the world. Also, understanding privilege in a better sense. When we think about privilege, I feel like privilege is always in the concept of white and black, but what it means to be privileged as an able-bodied person, or being privileged as someone who has a disability, or being privileged in a sense of living in America and learning that we have a lot of privilege living in America. A third, what I saw in the diversity was the clothes. We all had different clothes, but it was interesting to see how we all came from different religions and backgrounds, and that affected the clothes that we wear, but we all still respected each other. And once we honor the similarities and diversities that we have, we can, in our community, we can move forward with change. And this experience in Portugal allowed me to see that even though that we have diversity and that the experiences are different, we still can help each other, but also instead of just lumping each other together, we have to recognize the diversity that we see in ourselves in order to help our sister out. So I can't compare my experience here to an experience from my sister in Tanzania because yes, it might be a similar experience, but I also need to recognize that the diversity that she has is different and what she's going through is different than what I'm going through. But how can I help her in a way that can cater to her needs in a different part of the world? So second, I would like to talk about the social action. So in Portugal, we had 3 groups who went to 3 different cities, Coimbra, Porto, and Lisbon. And I was able, and fortunately was able to go to Coimbra, which when we went to Coimbra, we were doing field work and we went to a human trafficking community center. And we weren't allowed to actually go to the premises of a human trafficking community center because we weren't trained in that specific area. And also we didn't have trauma-informed training for that community center. But what we did do is we were able to talk to the people who do run these human trafficking centers and see the field work that they're going through. They had this book, and I don't remember the name of it because it was in Portuguese and I don't speak Portuguese, but the book was stories. I think it was like over like 1,000 stories of people who were forgotten in the world, but also have created social impact. And so in that book, it was from every continent besides Antarctica, but it was from every continent. And we were able to see stories of how American stories from Asia impacted the social justice and the social change in Portugal, and especially in Coimbra. So at this community center for the Human Trafficking Center, we were learning that there is a very understaffed people who are even working in trauma-informed care for children, and that because of this has stopped certain people from different countries able to go to Portugal. So for an example, we were supposed to have some women from Angola to come, but because there's a high human trafficking issue with people from Angola being children and women being human trafficked who are from Angola and Portugal, they were not able to get a visa to even come to the leadership program. And we saw this in firsthand experiences, how people are being human trafficked to Portugal, but because when they're saved and there's not a lot of space for them, or because there is low funding, these people either run away or they go somewhere else because they want to have hopes in finding a better life or better dreams. And it was just seeing it in real time. And that was something that I want to say it was an insightful experience, because what we see and what we deal with in America is not as upfront as what it was in Portugal, but also seeing it in real time and seeing people that were supposed to be in Portugal not even able to come because their visa was denied because of this current situation that is happening. So that was something that had inspired us when we did our field work. But after we were done with doing our field work, we then tied our field work into SDGs, our Sustainable Development Goals, and we had to identify why these SDGs are important and how they intersect with each other. And when we did our field work, we had to identify what SDG goal this intersects with. So going over the SDGs and how we can play a part in helping the United Nations achieve this goal. How we can help the United Nations achieve this goal, and what we can do for community outreach. This I feel like was a very important topic that we did, because when we did the SDGs and we did the field work, it was an example of what we could then do in our community and we could bring back to our community. the SDGs intersect with each other. And so being able to see that we can just accomplish not just one SDG, but more than one, was something that was very helpful, and we were able to help each other. I'm so sorry. We were able to help each other with our SDGs, and as well as see what is something that inspires us, because after the field work, we were all inspired on doing something that we can do to help our community, or also just help the community in Portugal and help people who are living in different countries and being able to collab with each other. And so with the SDGs and the achievement of goals, we then talked about our community outreach. So after we were done with our fieldwork, my community outreach was to create a safe space for Black girls and for Black women. When we were done with the fieldwork, and we were done, when I was done with the fieldwork and I looked back at how there's a lot of times kids are not allowed to be kids and girls are not allowed to be girls and they're being adultified, I wanted to create a community outreach project that would cater to allowing girls to be girls and allowing Black girls specifically to be Black girls. Black girls are usually adultified and told to grow up faster than what they are supposed to be. And because of that, this inspired me to create a Black Girl Block Party. And the Black Girl Block Party would be a way and a safe space for Black girls to be their authentic selves, a safe space for Black girls to be able to be who they are and get away from the responsibilities that the world is telling them to do, or the stereotypes that they feel, or the things that they don't know how to control, or the things that they feel like they cannot access at the time, and just being able to just be a Black girl. So with that, and partner with Rise Sister Rise and Black Girl Rising, but with Black Girl Rising, I decided to do a Black Girl Block Party, and to do this in the summer, and to invite girls from Columbus and have as many Black girls as we can, and able to celebrate them and their beauty and who they are. And because of Portugal, it allowed me to, with the experience of the fieldwork, it allowed me to come to this conclusion that this is an important thing that not just Black girls, but girls all over the world need, because they don't understand the true beauty that they hold or the issues that are happening within the community. And lastly, I would like to touch what I feel like was the most important part and that brought everything together was community. The Grail has offered unique opportunities to engage with and experience diverse cultures. These experiences have enabled me to draw comparisons and distinctions between the experiences of various countries and foster a sense of advocacy. We sung, we danced, we ate together, and I don't know if it was just me, maybe Naburah can say something about this too, but I feel like there was not a lot of me, my eyes, and it was a lot of us, we's. And we really fostered this sense of what community meant. Language wasn't a barrier, geography wasn't a barrier. The way we looked at community was how we felt with each other. And maybe I didn't understand what they were saying, or I didn't understand because of a language barrier, but I could understand the heart of everybody there. And the heart and the feeling there was love. And that's what we decided what community was. And we felt the feeling of love. And that's something that I feel like you cannot obtain just by reading books or doing research or studying. You have to do that in real person, in real time. And the Grail has allowed me to do that in real time, and seeing the diversity and seeing the similarities and seeing the different cultures, but still understanding that we have one love for each other, and that feeling cannot be miscommunicated was a beautiful thing. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aliya. And as you're talking, we had some of the same people from my program who then went on to the Portugal program. So there was a lot of overlap, and I can just like feel the heart that you're talking about. It was really met some really, really beautiful people. So thank you so much for sharing. And again, if you have questions for Aliya, go ahead and like jot them down or hold on to them, and we'll have some time after we're all done presenting. Naburah, did you want to go ahead?
Hello all, my name is Naburah. I'm a first generation college student at The Ohio State University, and I'm part of the program called Black Girl Rising, sponsored by sister friend Frazier. She's in the meeting right there. I'd like to say thanks to Sister Fran first for giving me this opportunity to meet you guys and be able to go on this trip to Portugal, because without this, I wouldn't be able to learn the things I learned on this trip or meet the people I've met and gain these connections. And having Aliya as like a mentor to help guide me through like life and then through Black Girl Rising and college is like very grateful. I'm very grateful. So I have a presentation here. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. Hold on.
Yes, you should be able to share. There's like a green button at the bottom that just says share screen.
I don't know.
If you like bring your mouse to the bottom of the Zoom screen and hover, it should pop up. You see it?
I think I was able to. I'm trying. It's asking for a password.
Oh.
Rachel, did you let her in?
To the meeting?
No, to the shared screen.
Yeah,
where
I see.
Where it says multiple participants.
The host has to do that first.
You have to check that.
So I don't think I'm actually the host of this meeting.
Who's the host?
It's a link that the national office created. So I think everyone should be able to share, because when I hit the share screen, let me see if I can share. Yeah, it looks like I can share. So I think that anyone should be able to.
Okay.
Because I don't think I'm not the host.
All
but
right.
You need a password?
No. Naburah, can you click on share screen?
Yeah, I'm trying, and
then can you click on that little blue box that says share?
I'm trying to do that, and it says privacy and security.
Yes. Share. It looks like Sharon can do it. Huh.
That is very strange.
Maybe you could just email it to Rachel to share.
Yeah, do you want to send it to me and then I can?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Sharon, you can take your screen back.
Stop share.
Okay.
Wouldn't be a true Zoom meeting without.
Did you send it to Naburah?
I'm getting her email right now.
All right.
Whatever. Because I'm seeing you.
Maybe you could just start talking.
Yeah, I'll start talking. So basically the things, we arrived to our trip a little late. There was delay with the weather back in New York. So we got a little minute, and then I had the possibility to turn 19 in Portugal. And I like to say I was like the youngest female to participate in this young women's leadership program. When I went there, they were so welcoming. They came with open arms, and then Aliya made it announced to everyone that it was my birthday. So I met more people, and everyone was more happy to see me. And they were so glad because we had assigned rooms, and I had my roommates. I didn't know who they were, but they were so excited to see me. And like Aliya was saying, language was a barrier. Language really wasn't a barrier. But for me, I felt like it was an obstacle that we were able to overcome, because there were some ladies over there that only spoke Spanish or only spoke Portuguese, and I was able to still communicate with them, whether it's through my phone texting or I have to call the translator up. But like she said, it was within our hearts. We knew what we wanted to tell each other without speaking the same language. So that was very heartwarming for me that they came and they welcomed us with open arms, even though we came 2 days late. I started off the presentation talking about the SDGs and how I was grateful to see how the United Nations implemented sustainable development goals within our community to help better the world. And there's like 17. So the 3 that was focused on within this program were SDG 5, SDG 10, SDG 13. 5 was about gender inequality, and I talked about what we have here in America known as the pink tax, which is basically tax good on feminine hygiene products or feminine products at all, period. That would not be presented to male products, if that makes sense. So like either it's menstruational products or like female toys that have the color pink, or like Barbie dolls that always tend to have a higher step value in marketing rather than male services and goods. So like if a guy gets a haircut, it's only a couple dollars, but then if a girl gets their hairstyle, it's more than $100. So that's what I put my focus on for SDG 5. For SDG 10, I talked about the differences between violence in relationships and the safety of women in these relationships, and how like the law is not for us women. So I talked mainly about that, like domestic violence and how laws to help us gain rights and then help us speak out in the world. And then for SDG 13, I talked about biodiversity loss and how within our nation, this is our planet that we're working with. We only have one planet, and how we have to work together to create it and clean it, because there's an increase in like small insects getting extinct. And then if these small insects are getting extinct, then the bigger animals like on the food chain are going to also get extinct. So I just talked about those 3 things when we were talking with our meetings. And the good thing about these SDG goals, we all came together each day and talked about a goal with your different squad or your different group, and you got to hear the different problems that was going on in between each country. So I talked about gender inequality with this one girl named Letitia in Kenya, and she was talking about how hard it is to receive a job. Oh, I'm sorry, South Africa. She talked about how hard it is to receive a job in South Africa because the men co-workers try to harass and grope on the females there. So they don't feel secure going into the workplace, causing them to have a decrease in the woman population because they're not dying off, but they don't have that many resources, or they don't have that many homes. So it was good to see the differences that brought us together and see how we can work past them. And then I have a couple of pictures on the next slide on things we did within the community. This is more near the fun part. The first picture is when we were outside talking about our SDGs, and the next picture was our gift exchange that we had. And then the next picture outside by the beach was just how we talked with each other, and we went to go visit the city with the different, what's the word? Like the different backgrounds you went to that Aliya talked about a little bit earlier on, how I went to Porto and she went to Coimbra to talk about trafficking. And there's another picture that Aliya mentioned, how the clothing is different. She was dressed in traditional Ecuadorian indigenous clothing, and it was really good because the girl that's next to her in that picture, her name is Andrea, and she's very sweet, and she doesn't speak a lick of English, but she tried so hard, and we all tried to speak Spanish to her, which was humbling because we're trying our best to talk to each other and we're still having fun. She was one of our like best friends. You can go to the next slide. We also talked about the work that we did in the city. So earlier on in the day, I think it was around like 5 to 6 a.m. We went up and we got on a train and went to the city. We were all put in different groups, which I also loved because it's not like I'm with the same people every day. When we're talking and having our discussions and with the other people, different people, and I get to hear all their other experiences and get to know their different backgrounds or their opinions to different situations. So for the group that went to Lisbon, they talked about the agriculture in Portugal and how it was not being preserved and it was like bothering the city of Portugal. I went to Porto and we talked about disabilities, and then like Aliya said, she went to Coimbra and they talked about trafficking. The center I went to in Portugal is called Centro de, I don't know how to pronounce it. A center of rehabilitation, and it was in Gaia, which is right next to Porto. So, but Gaia is a different city out. And we just talked to the different students and people that were in the program that had disabilities. And I have another presentation for that too. With that, we were able to get an insight of how they live their life. And then we talked about how they choose their people. And it was through this thing called active age. They chose anyone with a disability in active age, which was the ages of 16 to 65. And it was also associated with the north central part of Portugal. Everyone was welcomed. It's just that they only had one location, which was in Gaia, and they wanted to expand it, but it was still a project that they were working on to expand. But everyone in Portugal is welcome. it worked with people with disabilities that were acquired disabilities, which is a disability that you gain over time that comes usually accidental. So like if you got into a car accident, they have people with those disabilities, or congenital disabilities if you were born with it. So like if you had a speech impediment, you have to work through it over time. And then neurological disabilities in case something with like brain surgery happened, you were able, and the way that my group worked is that you were set with a group of other people that had your disability. So it's not like when you came into the center, you're automatically taken right away. They find a group of people that went through the same thing that you, so you were able to grow and work with your disabilities out with them, because they knew struggles came like being a burden on like family, or not being able to talk about your feelings with other people, or not being able to like, some people will recover faster than others, or some people are able to bounce back faster than others. So you're set with the group they thought you're most comfortable fit with, so you guys can cover your disabilities together. And I really like that because they were like, when we were talking to them, they were like a family, they were a companion. They also wanted to know what we were doing here. And we talked about how we were different girls from all over the world coming together, doing the same thing that you guys are doing. It's just that we didn't struggle with the disabilities. That's the only difference. You can go to the next slide. And then these are pictures from the day we went. This group, I think that was the group that went to Lisbon to talk about the agriculture. And then the other two photos were my group. These were at the when we were at the train station waiting for the train. It was a long train ride. It was like 2 hours long. And then this one is when we just left the Center for Disabilities. We couldn't take any pictures inside due to like security purposes. You can go to the next slide. And then we also worked on this thing called Back Home Projects. Aliya mentioned most of it too, how she wanted to start her own block party for Black girls. And then mine, I talked about, it was just a reflection on the ladies of what project they wanted to finish when they came back home. And we had the possibility to talk to each girls and see what project they wanted to work on. And I talked to this one lady named Sadia, and she wanted to work on children back in Mozambique. And I didn't realize like how much the education system for children in Mozambique was very bad. But I was talking about the mental health for Black girls since I was a part of Black Girl Rising, and trying to more focus on the safety of Black girls within our Central Ohio, Franklin County, because it is coming to a rise, and we have to like talk about it and spread awareness to it so we can better the environment for Black girls. You can go to the next slide. And then these are more pictures that we went to. They were like on the first day, the picture with the candle is our first day when we went there, and it was called I Am Your Light, or You Are Your Light. And we just had a little ceremony about how everyone is their own light. As long as you work together and put your mind to it, you're your own person, you can do whatever you want. There's more pictures of the city of Porto. And then this was still the center of rehabilitation and disabilities that I was talking at and asking the question. You can go to the next slide. And then next was the connections that was made at Portugal. We had this thing called reflection time, which every day we had reflection time, and it was spent on bettering the community and fighting peace within ourselves and to better support our work. So we'd have one in the morning and we'd have one in the afternoon, and we'd have like a little ceremony get together at night, or even things like having a prayer in the morning. It was things like eating dinner together. That was still reflection time. That was still all of us coming together. We'd sit outside and pick fruit from the trees, or in the, what is it called? In the forest or in the barn, and we eat it. We just take the apples, go inside, wash it. And it was so cute. But we were able to come together most of the time during reflection time. The people from the other countries were able to do rituals on us and like pray for us. And then same thing with me and Aliya, we provided peace where we pray for each other. And I'm Muslim, so I was able to incorporate some of my religion to it. And then Aliya's Christian, she was able to incorporate some of that. And then we just all came together. It was very heartwarming and heartfelt. There was a lot of tears spread. And then we also had our ceremony time, which I think we had 3 events of agape, which it was like big dinners with everyone incorporated. So there, I had the opportunity to hold the bread and like walk through it down the aisle. You could say, and Aliya held the salad, or someone was holding the wine, and we all have like a big dinner together. And I really love that, the ceremonies and bonfires that we had, because I felt like it brought a deeper connection to all of us, and I could better love my sister that was in Mozambique or in Tanzania or in Uganda, and we were able to just talk to each other and enjoy the laughs. We also did things like celebrate birthdays. There's this one girl. Her name is Julian. She's from Uganda. And a tradition in Uganda they have is like they splash water on you. So when we were outside, we were done with our agape dinner. We all came inside and we like threw water on her. And she was very surprised and she really loved it, which I really appreciated. You can go to the next slide. And then I just wanted to end it by saying a big thank you to the Grail for providing this opportunity for me and Aliya, and then providing the funds for it. Like Aliya said, you guys also gave us pocket money for us to spare, but we didn't realize the money exchange difference in other countries. So in euros, it was not that bad, but my sister from Mozambique, she didn't have the same amount of money that I had. And I was just able to be thankful to come to Portugal and experience this, and then provide this awareness to what we see. Because even things like the SDG, we had other people's talk and they came and talked to us about like the climate change, or we had a lady for the reduced inequalities. We talked about migrant workers, and she was running away from the Taliban, but now she's in school in Portugal and she just got a scholarship for it. So it was just humbling to see that all the girls from everywhere, I didn't know who any of them were until the day, and we still are like cool and work well to each other. Sorry. And then we still keep in contact with each other. We still had fun every single day, but we also still got the work done. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Naburah. Beautiful presentation. Let me see here. Let me get out of this. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my presentation, and Veronica says that she is on the way. So hopefully she'll be able to join us at the end here. So we'll see some similar faces from Naburah's presentation. So, all right. The program that I participated in was called Communities with a Heart. And it was at Radboud Summer School in Nijmegen in the Netherlands. So it's about an hour and a half south of Amsterdam. And a little bit different than the Young Women's Leadership Program. It was a week-long program, and it was in at like a university in the Netherlands. So Radboud is a university. So we went to the campus every day, and it was taught as like a university course, and there were people from all around the world participating in other courses at the university that week, which was kind of cool because we had our course, which a lot of the women you can see in this picture were participants in our course, but then there were people, taking science classes or, a whole range of courses. So it was very cool to be at a university in a university setting. And our course was led by Krista Anbeek, who you can see in the middle here. And I'll get a little bit more into her and her work later, but she was on a faculty with a few other people, some Grail members, some not. Mary Heidkamp was actually there with us. I don't think that she made it into this picture though. And then we have Ina from South Africa. So some Grail members were on the faculty. So we had an incredible faculty, and we met every day at the university. And then we stayed at like kind of a retreat center outside of the university, and we took the bus in every day. So we had women from all over the world, Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Honduras, Ecuador, Mexico, and actually the course took place in both Spanish and English, so it was accessible to Spanish speakers as well. We also had Portuguese speakers, but the course was not fully translated into Portuguese. But as Naburah and Aliya were saying, it is really cool and challenging to be in a setting with women who are speaking different languages, and it does give an opportunity to learn how to communicate in a different way. And as you can see here, this was when we were on the bus. One of our Tanzanian sisters was teaching us a song, and it was just kind of fun to have that language exchange with one another. Before the program started, we did have the opportunity to go to a church in Amsterdam that Rochelle leads. She's a pastor there. Some of you probably know her. She's done a lot of work. She's right here. So she's a pastor at a church in Amsterdam, and she invited us to her church, and everyone welcomed us, and we had a meal together. And it was just really neat to be able to go and see her work and spend a little bit of time in Amsterdam. And then we made our way to the university, and I just took a picture of, they have this picture of the SDGs hanging in their student center. And, you know, we've done a lot of work. It's a big focus in the Young Women's Leadership Program, and the Grail has such a connection to the SDGs. And then there's just a group of us sitting outside of our classroom before class started. So what we talked about, the theme of the program was called Communities with a Heart. And it's based on, actually, Krista had just written a book about this topic, but she's formed this course where she's exploring disruptive experiences, because we're in a time in history, the time on Earth when there's just a lot of disruption happening. And how do we look at those disruptive experiences, you know, that potentially have a lot of risk for, you know, fear, suffering, isolation, and how do we turn those into opportunities for creativity, new creations, dreams, cooperation. So how can, basically we're talking about how can opportunities emerge from crisis, and how can we create inclusive and inspiring partnerships and cooperation that give voice to marginalized groups, people who might be on the outskirts of society for whatever reason. And how do we specifically focus on our local communities? So we spent a lot of the week just exploring some of these themes, and coming up with how, you know, working together in small groups. And we had these small breakout groups. This was my group right here, where we would just come together and talk about what's going on in our communities. How can, you know, we look at challenges in our communities and turn them into opportunities for growth and transformation and building something new. And actually in my group, we had Maya from Mexico, and then we had a Tanzanian sister, and then we had two women from who actually live in Jerusalem, and they were not Grail members. So the program was open to anyone to participate. It was largely Grail members, but there were a few people who were not Grail members. So we had Maria and Nicole in our group who were in dental school and are actually Palestinian women. And I've since reached out to them since the war has been going on, and have checked in with them, and they are doing okay, but it was really interesting to speak with them and hear, you know, their perspective, and hear about a worldview and what life was like for them. And I think that's one thing that is really powerful about these programs, is getting women together who are similar age, but we're from such different places, and being able to connect and learn from each other and take that knowledge as we move forward, and hold that as we, you know, continue with our work in the world. So we also have, this is a picture of just another group of us. We had a woman from Georgia, woman from Portugal, South Africa. So we were just a really, really diverse group. And this is Krista. So she was our lead teacher. And this is the 8 pillars of Communities with a Heart. And so just to review them really quickly. So it's kind of, and I really recommend, I haven't read her book yet. I don't know if it's been translated into English yet, but once it comes out, I'm really looking forward to reading it, because it goes much more in depth, but basically looking at it, you're looking at it. No problem, they're muted.
You can't read, can you?
Lynette, put yourself on mute.
Okay, so yeah, so it's basically these 8 cornerstones of communities with a heart. So when there's a disruptive experience, there's space for silent contemplation, giving us space to feel what's happening. And this can include prayer, meditation, pausing, and then opening up space to speak boldly and listen and collect experiences so that we can address the disruption. And then there's an opportunity to, how do we minimize risk and optimize opportunities? How do we dream up something new? What is the plan? How do you work together as a collective? And then the review and renew, how do you adjust? Once you have started the work together, if something, being willing to fail and start over and adjust course based on the work that you're doing and based on what you've learned from the action that you take. And so this was a model for us to apply to our work and our projects, and just a really, I think that this course I could have, Carol, I just saw your comment about this, the process looking very Freirean, and I agree, there's a lot of crossover there. Like I said, this could have been a month-long course. There was just such rich information, such rich discussion, and with there being so many of us with so many different perspectives, there was just a lot. It was very, very good material, incredible teachers, and just a lot to take away and think about how we would apply it to our work and to our communities at home. These are just some pictures of some of us at the university. And then we actually had a ceremony for Krista. So this program was actually like kind of a pilot program. They did it the year before. This is the second year that they had done it. And Krista actually became the Grail chair at Radboud University, which was a really big deal because she was stepping in. This is the first time they had ever had the Grail chair. And a little bit of background, this area in the Netherlands is actually where I believe the Grail began. And so it was pretty significant that this program is now existing at the university, and Krista and her colleagues will continue to grow it moving forward and continue to invite Grail women from around the world to come and participate and have this experience. So if you know of anyone, I highly recommend, sending them to this program. And then we had a whole, ceremony for her. And this was at her ceremony, we had a group of us from the US. As you can see, Carol and Mary, and we have Lucy Jones and Veronica, all had the opportunity to be together at the ceremony. And then we put on our own. So there was like a ceremony, like a kind of an event at the university honoring Krista. And then we went back to where we were staying and put together our own ceremony as a group where we created an altar and we had singing and dancing and a ritual that we all collaborated on. So here is, it was in like a church. We had a church center at where we were staying. And that was one of my favorite parts of the whole experience because, we had this just such diverse group coming together, and each person was able to contribute their own offering to the ritual. And it's one of my favorite things about the Grail is I think ritual is just such a powerful and important way to share spaces with each other and honor somebody. And in this case, it was honoring Krista for creating this program. And it was just a really beautiful experience. There was a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, and just celebration. So just a few pictures from that. And then we also had the opportunity to go to a public housing center in the Netherlands, and it was kind of an example of communities with a heart in action. So they took us on a tour of their public housing center. So it was a pretty impressive operation. And there's actually, as you can see in the slide here, a third of all houses in the Netherlands are part of this housing corporation. So it's just creating a space for affordable rent for people who are on a limited budget. And they took us on a tour and just like how they were able to make it affordable, how to create a livable neighborhood, and how to do it in a sustainable manner. And then for fun, they gave us these cakes, and I included a picture of it because it has the little flag on it. And then these are just some more pictures of our group. We took the bus together a lot, and so just some pictures from the bus and some fun pictures from our celebration with the summer school. But the takeaway that I'm hoping to apply some of this work to the work with the Grail, and how can we look at times of disruption as a time of opportunity as well. And also, I'm really hoping to continue to collaborate with a lot of the young women in the program, and how can we continue to have relationships with each other, share our experiences with each other, because there's just so much incredible work that different women are doing. And I think it's really, the Grail has given me this opportunity to hear about the work and keep in touch, like hear the other projects that women are doing, and connect with women in places that I had never been and didn't know that much about, and open my eyes to, the challenges that are happening in different places. So my hope is to continue to collaborate with these women and see how we can, through our Grail work together, because it really is unique and special in the fact that it is like truly a community with a heart. I feel that, and every time that I participate in a young women's group, or just, any women in the Grail, there is such a strong, it's so rooted in social justice, in spirituality. And, it just has me thinking about ways that we can continue to collaborate and move this work forward, and invite other women in, create space for other women to have these experiences, and continue to support this type of work within the Grail and within just different communities around the world. So anyways, that is the end of my presentation. Excuse me. I'm not sure if, okay, I don't think Veronica has made it yet. So if she comes on, we can have her speak, but I think now we can go ahead and open up any questions that people might have. Yeah, Sharon.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for such energy, and from two really different experiences, and it was palpable, and I really feel energized by it. I have two questions, part of which you may have given me some ideas, but I would like specifically to hear, how are you going to maintain this energy? What do you need to keep this energy and this fire alive and reach out to more girls and young women and bring us all together, And two, will we have a copy of this presentation? Because I couldn't keep taking the notes fast enough to get the ideas and to really reflect on the visuals. Thank you.
Yes, there will be a recording of this that can be shared. So that will be sent out after this. And then to answer your question, so, you know, I think for me personally, I am involved in various different Grail groups, and that really helps keep the energy going for me. There is a potential project in the works for 2024. And I've been in conversation with Veronica about this, about what this might look like. And we're laying some of the groundwork for that now, of how to continue to build like intergenerational relationships between some of the younger women in the Grail and older women in the Grail, and like how do we share experiences. And like, you know, there's a lot as young women that can be learned from women who have been through certain experiences in the Grail. And then also I know I continue to hear that a lot of women in the Grail want to hear from younger women. So how do we continue to build those relationships? We're working on a program to do that. And then, yeah, I guess I'll stop there for now and I'll let someone else talk.
I would say that continue this feeling or continue this movement. Is my computer frozen? Is my computer frozen? Am I okay?
No, you're okay.
Okay, I thought my computer was frozen. I would say to continue to create safe spaces for young women. So meaning continue to create safe spaces instead of just having like when we have like the Young Leadership Women's Program, then hosting and facilitating monthly calls with these young women, so that we are able to continue to keep the motivation and checking in with each other. And with the hosting of the monthly calls, then continue to like do report outs to the Grail members so that we can just exemplify what community that we still have.
You have some ideas, Naburah?
Sorry, I'd say things like this, like being able to speak with you all and talk to you guys about me and Aliya's experience in Portugal and Rachel's experience back in the Netherlands are like ways we can reach out. Even with the Women's Leadership Program, we still text up till this day, and they still text us to check up on our back home projects. So being able to reach out and have that connection to make sure we're putting in the work and we're making sure the work gets done, and still working with our programs back at home. So me and Aliya being able to implement what we're doing, what we wanted to do back in Portugal with Sister France, so we can push it to do it in Columbus, Ohio, and Central Columbus.
Yeah, thank you. I hope Veronica does get on.
Yeah, Marion, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah. I would really affirm what Sharon said about how much fun it was to listen to you all. It was really great to hear what you're doing. And also to identify with a lot of experiences that you had about struggling with language, you know, trying to communicate with people, even though you didn't know their language. I remember going to Portugal when I was in college and for a summer camp. And we said the language we spoke was Portu-Franglais, because it was just all the words mixed into each other with no attention to grammar, but just communicating with words as much as we can, and without words in other ways, you know. So I just really enjoyed it very much. But I had a question, especially for Aliya, when you were doing your presentation. And you were talking about the Black Girls Block Party, which I thought was a wonderful, exciting idea. But my question had to do with follow-up from that too, because unless I missed it in your presentation, I can imagine that anyone participating in that would be really excited and have a wonderful time. But I wasn't sure how long you were envisioning that happening, and what happened after the block party happened. Do you know?
So I can go into a little bit more detail. I'm sorry if it's loud. There's people around the car room that I'm in, but I can go into more detail about the Black Girl Black Party. So a Black Girl Black Party is something that will potentially happen probably around 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's a full day of just celebrating Black girls. So in that sense of a Black Girl Black Party, it's not just, oh, we're having music and we're having food and we're dancing and partying. Yes, that is something that probably will happen, but it's also in a sense of learning how to take care of yourself. What is self-care? How do you do self-care when you have minimum resources available to you? Having a resource fair. So some resources that are in your community, some resources that are outside of your community that you can use that is helpful for Black girls. And within that Black Girl Black Party, they will also have the opportunity to learn about Black Girl Rising, and they will learn about Black Girl Rising and then see the work of what Black Girl Rising do. But for Black Girl Rising, we're not a organization that is here to fix Black girls. We're here to amplify Black girls. So in that sense, if someone wants to, who is a part of that Black Girl Black Party, who wants to amplify their voice a little more, they do have the opportunity to check out Black Girl Rising and to attend to some of the events. But essentially, it's just a day for Black girls able to take care of themselves, being able to learn about self-care, being able to be celebrated and know who their wholeness is within that day. So
yeah, it sounds great. And it also sounds like they have the option for something after that happens, which is, that's wonderful. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for asking the question.
Terry, did you have a question?
Did you say Terry?
Yes.
That's me. Okay. Question and a comment. I just want to thank you and Aliya, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, for just all of you. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out, Naburah, but very inspiring. I have a question about going forward, because as we know, there's a lot of areas in the US in particular where we have an older Grail community. So how can we generate interest in the younger women in our areas? Is that something that we can get are you looking for some funding from the Grail to do some face-to-face to get things started? I know several years ago, Rachel's familiar with, here in my local area, Ursula Academy has a lot of young women who several years ago were very interested, and they actually went to the CSW, and I actually met with them afterwards. And this school is very interested in going forward with learning more about the Grail. I know we have other schools where we have a more a different blend of people. We have more women of color, young women. How do you see us reaching out to these young women initially? Is this something that you think that we need to, that the Grail would need to support doing initial face-to-face and building interest and developing a local leader that then can move forward? I mean, I know it's a huge question, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question. And I think it's something that, I've thought about it as well. And I wonder if, I don't know if there's some sort of group that could form to have come up with some of the answers and explore what that might look like. I think that part of the intention of kind of building relationships within the Grail, and I think Aliya and Naburah both spoke to the importance of being able to share these types of experiences in this group setting, so that we're actually having this face to face and having this conversation. Because I think that the Grail is such a unique organization. And I think building a sense of understanding and building relationships with each other,
So
like how
important.
can we build a relationship between some of the younger women that we're bringing in and some of the older women who have been a part of the Grail for 50, 60, I mean, however many years, because there's such a rich history. And so I think that there's an exchange that could happen between the people who are already involved in continuing to build those relationships, and then talk about, okay, what might that look like? I think Zoom is a really good tool right now just to bring us together because we're all in different places. So to even have this conversation. But I think Aliya said that there's something to be said about having an in-person, like something in person is just so invigorating. It's just a completely different experience, and we're all figuring out what does that look like post-pandemic, like how do we get back to that and build something in a local sense too. So I don't have an answer to that question yet.
Yeah, but I
definitely
love what you're saying, because my vision would be that in all these different countries that these young women are coming from, to have the experiences that you've shared with us today. And I know that the ideal is always, what's their takeaway? What do they take back to their community? And how do they build these groups? But I really hope that the Grail is willing to invest the money to support that, because this, in my mind, this is the future of the Grail, is what you all are doing. And I just could not enjoy listening to you more, and could not be happier for the experience that you all have had. I just want more young women to have the same opportunity.
If I could add on to the question as well, I think one thing that before you even we answer a large question like that is what do we optimize for? So optimizing for diversity, optimizing for community, and then let's say optimizing for social action, right? And so if those are the three things that we're optimizing, how do we get to those goals, and where are the best and sufficient way for us to get to that goal? And so if we're thinking about diversity, social action, and community, I think over a sense of creating not weekly, but monthly areas and spaces for people to meet and for young women to meet. And so not just young women, but everybody to meet, because I feel like people have an interest in the Grail, or some people don't even know what the Grail is, but allowing them to have that time to be able to learn what a safe space is, to know what the Grail is, and to have people to continue the work that they're doing and keep an accountability, I feel like is a great way to start. And when they said that it's fun and it's nice and we can have the experience of meeting in person, it's true, but it's expensive to meet in person. We're all from different parts of the country and we're from around the world. But being able to have representatives in the different sections of the Grail. So when we have Loveland, Ohio, and people who live in Loveland, Ohio, have them and have a committee and a point person that's able to say, okay, so we want to engage for a younger group and diversity within this group. So let's continue to look at what we're going to do to engage those people, and being able to have point people across the country and able to meet up frequently to figure out what is the goal. And so once goals and prereqs are figured out, I think that will be just a great start of just realizing what are the next steps going to be. Because when we have what we're optimizing for, then I feel like it'll be a better layout and plan to understand how to engage with those type of social actions.
Thank you.
A quick interruption just to note that Veronica's joined us if you hadn't had a chance to see that.
Veronica, welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry. I can use my camera right now. And yeah, I'm just hearing some ideas, and well, the Grail has a lot of opportunity to have more young people, and I think there are also many different challenges, but as you know, for some people are more difficult to be part of this community. I mean, because of the languages, and sometimes because of the, yeah, I mean, first is the language. But we find the way how can be in touch. And also the Grail did the first, the young initiative with Laura, Danette, Tina, and Lisa Petro. So that was very interesting because when you have like a space to share and to think about how we can support or work or dream about some projects together, it was very interesting because if you, I think technology helped, but when you have like a space to have a different meeting in face to face, the connection is so different. It's not the same. Like when you just see your face through the computer, is very different. So this kind of initiatives help us to feel more connected with everyone, and also to have like goals around how we can create different activities together, even though you are in a different city, country. It was a good initiative, but as you know, the Grail has some problems, and we can. And no, it was because of COVID. So we stopped to having this meeting. And yeah, and right now we are trying to do more things. And I think it's the first step. And I think that we have a lot of opportunities to be involved in different groups. And yeah, we have different ways how we can be in touch, especially if you have a special like a topic that you are involved. And yeah, and I think, yeah, there are many options how we can be in touch, and how we can create different things, and how we can support each other to achieve our goals.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Judy, did you have a question?
Well, not a question. First of all, you all must be applauded for pulling this together and sharing your experiences with us. I'm not sure who mentioned it. It might have been you, Rachel, but part of really pulling this all together is the intergenerational project that you said that you're working on. And I would love at some point later on to hear more about that, because I think, we have to hear the stories of our, and for lack of a better term, our elders, and share them with the young women, so that, the picture is really created in a positive, productive, and progressive way. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. And yeah, we're still in the very early stages. I'm actually hoping to potentially work with Aliya, Naburah, like people who have had, I know Veronica and I have discussed this as well, people who have had these experiences, and like talk about our vision, and as young women in the Grail, like how we can move it forward. And there's a lot of possibilities. And I think like coming up with our goals, our timeline, our plan, and then just building and enriching our relationships like intergenerationally within ourselves. There's a lot that needs to be discussed and teased out, but I'm looking forward to having those conversations because, like Veronica said, like the experiences are so rich, the in-person experiences, and then we all go home, but it's like, how do we maintain the connections, you know, and how do we maintain the momentum? Because it's really important work. Carol?
Yeah, just a word because Judith asked and others have asked about resources. I had mentioned at the beginning that the Antiracism Committee has wanted to be also in a listening mode and relationship building mode. And one thing we did early in the year was to have a brainstorm around what would 30 years on, what would a Women Breaking Boundaries initiative in the Grail look like? That was an in-person program at Grailville that some folks said just completely changed their lives and blew their minds. And, you know, we toyed with, could we have another event like that? And as some folks have said, at this point, the resources aren't really there for a large in-person event, and maybe even not wise with a carbon footprint. And so it began to evolve into what would be different sort of configurations of work that could be multi-generational, racially diverse, bringing in people who aren't already Grail members around some critical areas of priorities. And one of them could be the conversation that Rachel and Veronica and others have started about what would a series of multi-generational dialogues look like? What would safe spaces for young women look like? How could that move forward? And another is the ongoing work that we kind of kicked off last month with the climate action team around how can we support frontline communities of color in environmental justice. But I would also mention, just to mention that those are, you know, potential mission initiative requests, but also Black Girls Rising and the Lower East Side Girls Club, I think, are also mission initiative requests. And the relationships that we have been building this year come out of the really important leadership of young women in those spaces that have then really blessed the Grail. You folks in the leadership you're offering already are really blessing the Grail. So I just wanted to name that there are resources that Grail has been investing, and there are resources that are being requested of the Grail, and we'll see with the limited resources that we have, of course, whether that's possible, but we are dreaming in that direction. And just because I'm speaking in this near time, I do want to take another moment to give a huge thanks to Rachel from the Antiracism Committee for having spearheaded a series of these public events over the last 2 years. She has been the organizer. You've seen her name on all the emails. She has just in an amazing way pulled together our dreaming and our ideas and brought that to this whole Grail space. So we also want to thank Rachel. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Carol. And honestly, working with the group has been kind of what inspired some of my ideas. Is just there's so much wisdom and like so much that I've learned from working with you all. So thank you. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of it. So we have just a few more minutes. Does anyone have any final questions, or anyone who has presented have any final words, thoughts, anything before we sign off?
Let me just, first of all, apologize for coming late. I had 3 other things tonight at the same time. But I want to also thank Rachel Sonsor, thanking her. excited and looking forward to her being on the council. So hooray.
Thank
She-
you.
She and Megan are both going to be great additions.
Yes, looking forward to it. Okay, well, yeah, does anyone, I know that I'm putting everyone on the spot. Does anyone have a prayer handy or like a final closing anything? I know Panda's really good at that, but I think Panda might be maybe not available.
You want to say a closing something? I am available.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
I didn't
And
mean
I
to
just
put
want
you
to
on the
say,
spot.
I want to say thank you to all of you. You are so amazing. You know, without you, I don't know what we could do. I am very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you so much. And I was just reflecting on the Bible. God say, my people are dying for lack of knowledge. But you guys have knowledge. And no matter what kind of knowledge you have, if you don't share it, it's nothing. So thank you for sharing the knowledge. And thank you, Lord, for this day, for this special day. Thank you, Lord, for these women of the Grail. Thank you for your love. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say, but what I'm going to say is I'm so happy to be here. And I'm thanking all of you young women to have this time to come today and share with us. May God give you the strength, give you the love, and give you the knowledge. Don't keep the knowledge to yourself. Share that knowledge. Share with love, humility, and patience. We need you. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, God, for giving us this day. Amen.
Amen.
Rachel, thank you so much. That was a beautiful prayer. I grabbed a quote that I would love to share. It's about community, if you don't mind.
Yes, please do.
Okay. It's from George Bernard Shaw. It says, I am of the opinion that my life belongs to my community. As long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to the future generations. Thank you. I just thought that was appropriate.
I love that quote. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you, Panda. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. All of our presenters, Aliya, Naburah, Veronica. And thank you so much to just all of you for supporting us and having these experiences.
Rachel, could I do the little prayer of the Islamic community?
Yes,
We
please.
think about these women and these children and these people in Gaza right now. And it's a prayer that's used before meals and all over the place. And I'll say it in Arabic and in English. In the name of God, the merciful and compassionate. Bismillah, ar-Rahman, ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful and compassionate. Take care of this war-torn world and bring us together somehow.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
And I'd like to remind everyone, I'd like to thank all of you for your wonderful presentations this evening and remind everyone that Trina is going to be giving a presentation on Advent in the Grail this coming Sunday, I believe it is, at 4 o'clock on Zoom, Sunday the 10th.
Yes.
At 4 p.m. and you are all invited.
It's cross-generational, folks.
And I would, this is Sharon, I would just like to have us all keep in our prayers and our hearts all the people who have suffered in the Israeli and the Palestinian war.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for contributions. And there will be a recording of this that I'll send out. So if anyone missed tonight, we can share with them.
Thank you all. Very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rachel.
Good night, everyone.
I'm sorry to be everyone.
It's okay. I'm glad you made it. It's good to hear from you.
I would like to, to say more, but sorry, I was in my job.
It's okay. All right. Bye, everyone.
Blessings. Bye.
Great job, Rachel.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you, Rachel. It really was good.